What is going on, everybody? We are redoing episode 14 of Man in the Middle. Payson, what's going on?
We're back.
Some of you might have actually seen the first podcast that went out, and I'm not sure what happened. We were streaming to multiple platforms, but I had logged into a different one versus YouTube. And when I went home to show my daughter that we had Princess Peach on the podcast, which was, now it's George. She wanted me to take it back. She said, no more Princess Peach. I want you to put George from Peppa Pig on. Hi, Sophia. I was showing it to her, and it was skipping. I don't know what was going on. So I blocked that one off. We're just going to redo it. The topic was what, Payson?
Social media, and if the good, the bad, everything about it for business.
And the title of this is actually going to be Social Media. Hate it? Love it? You need it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get into it. And, you know, this time around, as we discuss, one of the things I wanted to point out, especially, is the sheer numbers of people who use social media. Mm-hmm. So, like, I myself, we know this, not a fan. Mm-hmm. I'm getting accustomed to doing all this stuff with, like, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube, and Shorts, and all this kind of stuff. But I, as on a personal level, don't really find myself
just regularly using it.
I use it, but I don't participate in it, if it makes sense. Like, I like watching the things, but I don't want to. If I have to create an account just to watch it, like TikTok, like somebody will send me a TikTok and I can watch one or two, and then it's like, you got to create an account. I'm like, well, I guess that's my, that's it. That's done. I'm done with TikTok for the day. I've always been a huge proponent of, like, keep to myself, and, you know, the internet doesn't need to know what's happening, because I myself, like, even remember when it was becoming much more prevalent, like Facebook. It was MySpace when I was in school. Mm-hmm. Actually, it started in AOL, the AOL chat rooms, and then it went to MySpace, and that was where people were, like, fighting each other to be in the top 5s and top 3s and top 20s and whatever. And then, like, Facebook had become really popular because it was brand new, and that's when I started noticing, like, how toxic of an environment that social media can be. Mm-hmm. Because I started seeing classmates, like, literally fighting each other because of the stuff that they were saying to each other over the computer. Mm-hmm. And at this time, like, being on your phone to do internet stuff wasn't, like, normal. Like, you either had to be a really rich kid to have an unlimited data plan, because I don't know if you remember, but, like, minutes, we had to bought by the minute, we bought by the text, we bought by the megabyte.
Well, last week I was talking about how I got in huge trouble because I thought I had unlimited minutes, and I didn't. And I was playing Xbox with my friend, and I like, didn't have unlimited minutes.
I think any of our older viewers who are either over the age of 30 or near the age of 30 can definitely relate to racking up the phone bill because they were talking to their first girlfriend or someone they really liked, or, you know, using the internet too much and downloading. Like, these are the days of, like, LimeWire, you know, like, that most people remember. But the culture of it kind of shifted, because it used to be more of a tool. Like, people wanted music, they go on LimeWire and download it, which is totally illegal. Now we understand this, but back in the day, we didn't know what that was, right?
Yeah.
But now I feel like it's not much of a tool anymore. It's more of a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Because, like, one of the things that we had discussed in the one that was glitchy was a restaurant opens up and nobody shows up, right? And the first thing that hits and goes viral is, like, I'm in my mom's restaurant and nobody's here, and she's looking all sad and looking at the door because nobody's coming in. And then all of a sudden,
it's just
boom,
slammed.
Internet sees it, and now it's everywhere.
We were talking about, like, that guy, Keith Lee. I don't know if you've seen any of his videos since. If not, I'll send you them. He does food reviews in Vegas, and he just did one like that for this pizza guy. He didn't know that, like, the pizza guy was, like, he just opened up the business, was having a terrible time, but the food was amazing. Like, this guy rated it like a true, like, I think, like, 10 out of 10.
Wow.
This guy has been so busy ever since that day. It completely changed his entire life just by this one guy going in and reviewing his food. Oh. And that was it. And it was a completely non-biased opinion. He had never been there, just went in, reviewed it. And now the dude is so busy that he can't even, like, imagine. He's like, I guess the guy Keith Lee tried to contact the owner just to say, like, hey, how's everything going? I want to stop by and just see how you're doing.
Yeah.
He couldn't get a hold of the owner because the owner's, like, running around like a crazy man.
Yeah.
Trying to just keep up with the business that the dude brought him.
That's
So
crazy.
it really is. It could be life changing towards a business.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the biggest struggle, and we were talking about David Dobrik opening up Dobrik,
Dobrik Pizza. Yeah.
It's like, what did I said, right? I said, some of the biggest like struggles that any business goes through is people. I have to have people in order to sell
bring people
my product.
actually through the door.
So when you have a following and a fan base and you just open a service, it's like the hard work's done already. Now, I'm not taking credit away from him because he's got to do different, it's not like filming a YouTube video anymore. He's got serious things that he needs to learn, workers' comp,
business.
insurance. Yeah, it's a real business. But what I'm saying is, if I knew I had a following of excess million people, and I knew that tomorrow I could open up a business, and even if 10% of that following would show up, it's not as risky as like the family we're talking about. Putting their life savings into something to see if it would work, and to see it as a tool. I mean, even some of these streamers, my friends really like Ludwig as a streamer, and I'm okay with some of his content. I don't really watch many streamers, but I've noticed that he does like a lot of charity streams, and he does a lot of like, he by himself, I think he raised an excess of like $300,000 in like one day.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's insane. I'm gonna pull up the figures. In how much he donated, it looks like it was $365,000 to charities. That's it.
Drink that. You know, protein never really tastes like that. Well, this company, they made like a protein in the form of a juice that you mix with water.
Okay.
So it doesn't have that thick, that like protein shaky taste that you usually get. It tastes like just drinking a regular like juice. And they started asking people, they would go into gyms and they'd record it on TikTok and ask the people to rate it honestly 1 out of 10. And it started to blow up, and now these people are sold out all the time. They've caught attention of people from Shark Tank, like Kevin O'Leary and Mark Cuban, and they're constantly sold out of this protein, all because they just started posting these videos on TikTok, asking people for reviews on the protein, because it's this completely different type of protein. And it's now just posting these short little 60-second clips has completely blown up their entire business.
That's crazy. Man, it's wild. It's like, I understand those that don't like it because we're kind of peas in a pod. But one of the biggest things, and I've talked about this before, is like, if you're trying to be a successful business, you have to adapt. And hate it, love it. That's why this is what I'm going to hate it, love it, you need it. You will reach a further fan base,
of course,
with it than you ever could without it. Now, we talk about the statistic of usually 65% of all businesses is through referrals. You could even venture as far as to say maybe 70%. But the reality is one post being seen by a potential 8 billion people, versus cousin Vinny talking to 10 of his friends, and those 10 talking about it, in the way that it needs to be talked about. It's the reach isn't as quick. TKB in India is rated the #1 sandwich shop in the U.S.
That's incredible.
It is.
It's really good, too.
Hot take. It's a good place. It's not the best sandwich I've ever had. It's not the best sandwich place in the U.S. But it doesn't matter what I think.
Yeah.
The internet has spoken.
Yes.
I think it's a great place, don't get me wrong. But a lot of their stuff is really spicy.
Yeah.
Everything's jalapeno this, sped that, jalapeno that.
I
don't like spicy
I
stuff.
only like really one sandwich from there. I've tried others, and I didn't like them really at all. But there's one sandwich I do like, and I will go for it.
Great. I've had good sandwiches.
But it's spicy.
But it's for me not the best place you could go. I respect people that like it, and if you think it's the best sandwich, good. Continue to shop there. I enjoy going there with my friends when we do go, but it's not something I would drive.
You're not gonna.
If my friends are like, "Hey, we're here," I'll drive to go hang out with them. But I wouldn't drive from where I live to Indio just to go get that.
Yeah.
Now, those who do, great. I have friends who drive from Orange County to come eat the sandwich of the week.
No,
if it's something that they want, they'll drive 2 hours to come have one sandwich. That's what you like to do. That's what you like to do.
I live a minute from it, and I still don't go too often.
But the point being, like, a lot of their fan base and the following that they have is more curiosity that leads to, like, oh, this is really good. Because people who have never had it before, it's sold to them as the best sandwich place in the U.S.
Yeah, people come from all over to try it.
Because it's got that, it's got that clout behind it. And social media clout is everything. Hairstyles, dresses, shoes, bags. Like, now everybody carries those satchels, those manchels. I don't know what they call them.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's like, everyone has them. And 9 out of 10 of them, there's a gun in there. People walk around with a gun in that thing all the time. And I'm sitting there going, like, how did this become the popularity? But, social media, their favorite musicians, artists, stylists, whomever. And it's like, it's crazy. A lot of kids it's kind of, I have a daughter, and it's like, I'm not going to let my kid have it, right? Because I feel like it's going to put too much pressure on her to be something that she doesn't need to be. Like, she doesn't need to look a certain way that social media says. She doesn't need to act a certain way that social media says. She doesn't need to dress a certain way. But then a part of me feels like she's going to be an outcast because I do that. You know what I mean? Because all the other kids are going to do it. But it's more about just, I think what I'm going to have to do is, like, I'm going to hold my ground. I think it's the best call, because when we go into the statistics part of, like, how many people use it and the addiction it causes and stuff, it's pretty serious. But, sticking on topic with it for business owners, if you are not using it, I would suggest using it, because it gives an insight to your company that people wouldn't normally have.
Have you heard of the company Liquid Death, the water?
Yeah, man, that thing is so popular now.
It's it's worth close to $1 billion.
I bet all the podcasts.
Just because it's marketed as water that looks like a beer can or energy drink.
Yeah, and it's expensive too. They're like $2-3 a can.
It's just water. I tried it, and it was just whatever. It was just
because you're not paying for the water, you're paying for the can.
Yeah.
You're paying for that privilege so people can see.
That company came out of nowhere. Now, and their marketing, I've seen multiple videos.
That company didn't come out of nowhere. That company's been around. I remember that company being around, because I said, who the hell would buy a can of water that looks like a beer? And it's like the name Liquid Death to me too. It was like, why would I want?
Yeah, why would you want water called Liquid Death?
Why would I want to drink something called Liquid Death? But I started seeing, like, cage fighters in the UFC. I started seeing, like, podcasters, Joe Rogan, and all those people start drinking it. And it's so funny because we talk about brand subtlety, marketing subtlety in, like, your packages, like the way that we subtly talk about USCCA, the sponsor of this channel. And if you want more information about USCCA, click the description below. Normally we start with their video, but because this is a recast, we're going to do that at the end. But see, we're just talking about social media. But if you take a look at what we have in front of us, subliminal marketing. We're nothing but honest with all of our viewers, and we do love the company. That's why we're proud to be a sponsor of them. But the point is like, Prime does that too. Logan Paul's company does that too.
Yeah,
he subtly always ensures that his drinks are in it. And I've seen photos, like, from a side view where
he's like stacking it.
He's stacking it on top, and he's honest about it. And I say, good for you. I know he's got a lot of stuff going on with, like, this crypto issue he's got, this crypto zoo thing. And, I'm not an expert on the subject matter. I don't really want to speak to it. But if I remember correctly, like, that drink company was set to be $1 billion company pretty soon too. That drink, you cannot find it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
If you do find it, there are literally people on the internet who go and buy the pallets of it.
Yeah,
they buy it all and then they sell it in a private market.
That company's already over $1 billion.
It's plausible.
Obviously, it's just estimated. It's all just a possible thing, but
it's totally plausible.
But yeah, they're really good at marketing, and it just shows you also how big of a platform, or using his and then KSI's platform to market that.
Right, and
it just tells you the power of social media.
Paddy Pimblett, the UFC fighter, came out with his own drink.
Yeah, and it looked like a knockoff.
And it looks like a knockoff, but it also, and you know what? I'll pull it up. I'll put it.
I thought that was a joke.
No, it's real.
Really?
It's called Fuel. I'll show you right now. And,
I thought that was a joke.
Oh man, it's true. And like in that video, he's like, this is. It's called Applied Nutrition and UFC star Paddy the Baddy launch new sports drink. Paddy the Baddy, I love this guy.
He's funny to watch.
You know why I respect and like what he does, and I'm gonna pull the video here, so this should work. I've had practice now, so if I go here, we should have. I swear I practiced this. Hold on, it's gonna come up in a second. Here we go. Boom, there we are. So, let me make our window a little bit smaller. But, so there it is.
Yeah, that looks so identical.
Down to the bottle size. But their marketing method is funny because Logan Paul did this thing where he's like, how much sugar does this one have? And then he pours out sugar. How much electrolytes does this one have? And he tells the number. Well, Paddy the Baddy did the exact same thing. And his stuff was much less than
even Prime
was. And I guess I don't know if they're actually in a lawsuit right now because they're saying it looks like it with the color scheme and the name.
It is the exact same, I mean, obviously the bottle design's different.
Yeah, the bottle shape is a lot different.
The graphic is very...
The graphics, the color scheme is almost identical.
Like the black font with the white outline for the text. Yeah, I mean, I can see that it is kind of a knockoff. I don't know if it's a joke. Like in
no,
that
it's
sense.
not. Because
no, or not that it's a joke, but I don't know if he's doing that to make fun of. I guess
if you look here, Applied Nutrition's ABE is already the highest selling pre-workout supplement in Europe.
Wow.
You got to remember that he's from the UK and Dublin, I think.
Yeah.
Prime, and here's one of his quote: "Prime has got 2 grams of sugar, and ours has got 0 grams. Much better, especially for your kiddies." You know what you know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna sit there and tell me that this man isn't, playing the part of marketing, like that's just what it is. And I guess that there was an issue where he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna sue them for."
I heard that part, but that's why.
But it's like, whatever happens there. But the point is, it can literally change the life of your business. Most people, especially young people, want to know, like, if they were to do something similar to, if they were to do something similar, sorry.
No, you're good.
I was just making sure the next thing we were going to talk about is queued up. So if they were going to do something similar to, like, a business that they want to start. Like, for instance, a buddy of mine really likes this concrete guy on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
He makes concrete. He does all these jobs where he, like, creates, driveways and front yards, backyards. And the guy hires a gentleman with a disability. I can't remember if it's Down syndrome or autism. But, like, he videotapes his life, how he works, his employees, how he treats them. And the person we're talking about is actually one of our bookkeepers, Grant. And, Grant loves that YouTube channel. And I'm like, dude, why do you like this thing so much? Because to me, I'm not seeing the whole picture. I'm just seeing a guy lay concrete. And I was like, why is that, like, and it's not judging him. It's just more like curiosity. Yeah. What about this is captivating you so much that you're, like, keeping up to date with it? And he's like, it's just everything. It's the story. Uh-huh. People like a good story. People want to know what your company's all about and if you're a family-owned company and what your day-to-day looks like. Because there are a lot of people who are thinking about, doing that business, but they're not sure. Mm-hmm. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these things like, ask me how I make $300 a day, $500 a day pressure washing. And, like, I respect those guys' hustle, but they're very pushy.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I wanted to pressure wash your windows. I personally don't like that method. And, I came from a really heavy sales background method working for a bank where it was very pushy like that. Mm-hmm. So I swore I would never do that again. And honestly, if I told somebody no and they just kept asking me stupid questions.
Yeah, I don't like to.
I don't like being pressed either.
I cold call people on a daily basis, but, like, I'll ask them once. If they sound like they're like possibly interested, I'll ask them one more time, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't like to push. Because I hate being pushed.
Exactly.
When people call me and they'll repeatedly ask me the same question five or six times, I'm like, no. Like, if you ask this again, I'm just going to hang up. Like, is there anything else you need to ask me? If not, the conversation's dead.
It's funny. I got a call yesterday from some guy, and they went through the tax preparer directory and found my number, and that's usually how most people call me for these like services. And he's like, yeah, my boss is looking for an accounting firm and a tax preparer and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, well, connect, what's your boss's name and number? And I'll talk to him. So he connects his boss in. He's like, hey, boss, this is that gentleman you wanted to talk to, blah, blah, blah. So the boss gets on the phone. And he's like, yeah, how are you doing? So you own this service here? Yeah, I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, well, we sell advertising. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's totally
misleading. You called saying you wanted to inquire about services, and now you're asking me if I want to pay for advertising. What the hell is this?
Yeah, that's misleading.
Yeah, it was super misleading. I got so upset. I said, don't ever freaking call me again. What is that garbage? Like, if you want to call and sell me something, call and sell me something.
Yeah,
don't sit there and lie to me, waste 20 minutes of my time.
I don't like when people do that. That's even like why when I call people, I'm super specific with like, I'm like, hey, if I want to ask someone if they want to sell their house per se, because I have a client interested, I'm like, hey, I have a client interested. Do you want to sell your house? No? Okay, next person.
Right. It's like,
it doesn't need to be this thing. It's not going to make the person feel better if you do this dodgy thing where you try and...
It's not going to make me trust you as a company. When I talk to you, it goes from like one end of the spectrum to a completely opposite end of the spectrum. But, I tell this to a lot of business owners. I say, if you're trying to increase your social media presence, strap a GoPro to yourself. Sorry for the incessive coughing. I've been battling this thing for like a few days now. I'm on the winning end of it, though. I'm almost done. I can feel it.
Nice.
But it's like, strap a GoPro to yourself. People are always interested in how that industry works.
Well, and I think it goes back, like construction guy. Like, I think people just like to see that people are real and have their own emotion.
Yeah, of course.
Like it's not like, oh, it's just this big company that doesn't have any feeling or doesn't care about people. It's like, so I think that I know we talked about it last week. Obviously, the podcast didn't work out, but that guy's business has probably grown so substantially since posting those YouTube videos, those construction videos.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's probably gotten so much more business because people are like, I want to work with that guy.
Right.
They know, and that's the thing, too. They're already sold on who that guy is before they ever call him.
Right.
So when they call him, they're calling to just do business. They're not calling probably even to really ask questions.
Yeah, because they've seen the quality. I struggled to find a tattoo artist for a while. Because the one that I usually go to, the guy just flakes all the time. He's a really good artist. He's a terrible businessman. Terrible. I literally drove up to LA one time and he wasn't even there. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. Can you come back tomorrow? It's like, no, I can't come back tomorrow. Dude, I drove 2 hours to get here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. I forgot. Because he's a Fox Studio artist, too. He draws for Fox Studios.
Oh, wow.
So I found him. He's great, but he's so unreliable where it's like I was coming cash in hand, brother. Thousands of dollars in hand. Dude, just take care of me today, and here you go. I'll pay everything up front. And it's like I couldn't get a hold of him. And it was like, I'm sorry. I just can't do this.
Yeah.
And I finally found somebody, but I'm going to be honest. My decision to who I found was based off of social media. The guy's work is really good, but I never would have known about him if it wasn't for YouTube posting about him. Turns out he lives in LA too, and I was like, dude, great. I get on Instagram through our business Instagram, even though I'm sure I'm not supposed to do that, but I don't care. And I was like, hey man, how do I get? Can you put me on your schedule? I got to finish the stuff on my back. And here I am talking to him where it's like, great, this guy's work is amazing. And I'm going to see if I can get him to come on the podcast too, because he's just insane. He's a monster artist. But it's funny because his popularity just like straight through the roof because of just Instagram. Like people literally fly cross country to come do his stuff now. So, it's crazy. I want to go into the statistics of social media. And we're gonna wrap it up pretty soon here, but we're just gonna go into the statistics of everything. So I'm gonna pull that screen up, and so the average daily time spent using social media is 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Wow. Wow.
And this is probably me it's talking about, because at night, like 12 at night, I'm in bed and I'm like, just like, all right, let me get my fill for the day, catch up with the world. And let me just make sure this is coming up. So, number of social media users, okay? 4.7 billion. That's 59% of the world's population. Quarter on quarter change. It's a 1% increase every quarter, which is plus 47 million people.
Wow.
The social media users versus the population of age 13, 75.5%. So it's not just 13-year-olds. It's 13 and above. Anybody 13 and above is 75.5%. Social media users versus total internet users. Social media users is 93.6% of the people on the internet. Year-on-year change, 227 million people in social media users every year.
That's insane.
Female users is 45.7% over. So the male, I guess it's a male market dominated, right? Which one's the down? Guys or girls? One's the up, one's the down. The symbol. You see it on the stream? I always forget.
I think it may be blocked by the...
Oh, you can't see because the... Here, I'll move this one over. There.
It'll update.
Oh, this is female. 45.7 is female. Male is 54.3.
That's interesting.
The average number of social platform used each month, 7.4. So let's put that into retrospect. You have 4.7 billion people on across the board, and the average number of social media platforms they use is 7.4. So you factor that in. You have 4 times 7 chances, right? 4 billion times 7 chances. Mm-hmm. Because if they're on 7, they can see you on all 7.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm. That's
28 billion opportunities for the world of social media to see you and your business. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's what do you do? How do you even, quantify that in any other way? So it's like, if you're struggling with your business, okay, let's say, some people say, well, my business isn't really internet based. Okay. But you can build a following. And after you build that following, people might render your services when they come down, or they want you to come up or travel or whatever it may be. Or maybe you want to start selling merchandise, shirts, shoes, this, that. Like, good income is income.
Yeah. Well, the sandblasting company, that wasn't internet-based, but we did a ton of social media marketing for that company.
The world's most social used platform, Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, Instagram, and TikTok is number 5. I don't even know any of these. Oh, Twitter's down to 486 million people. That's probably because Elon just bought it. Nobody wants it. And it looks like it's a male-dominated.
That's interesting.
See, look at this. Nearly a third of Americans regularly get news on Facebook. Wow. 1/3 of Americans get their news on Facebook. That's kind of scary.
You know what's crazy is people don't realize it, but you could do a Facebook ad and you could reach a few thousand people in a couple hours, and it costs $10-15.
Yeah.
And if you were to do that in a magazine or a newspaper ad or a TV ad, it costs probably a few $1,000.
Yeah, I mean,
do the same thing.
It's one of those things where it's it's got such an influence. That's why they call it, influencers.
Yeah.
That's why when somebody's popular, they're called influencers, because their word carries so much weight. And it's one of those things where it's how do you go back to it? It's how do you quantify that? How do you sit there and think to yourself, no new business is good business, right? Mm-hmm. Love it, hate it, it doesn't matter. You need it. That's why this is what this is called. It only helps your business, but it can harm your business too, because you do something incredibly stupid.
Yeah, then you're
going on the internet. I don't know if you saw that art gallery in San Francisco where the guy was hosing down the homeless woman outside his place.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah, and it blew up.
It tanked this guy's business. And it's not right what he did. I understand why he's so frustrated, because the city's not being held accountable for the homeless problem that's being done, and they have billions of dollars allocated to these resources, but people are still on the streets. Mm-hmm. It's not right. But I understand where his frustration is coming from, that his patrons are trying to come in or come out, but they're being haggled or bothered by people who are, whether they're on drugs or not, or harassing them. It doesn't matter. The point is, that's not an excuse for him to do what he did either, but somebody caught him doing it. You know, they caught him on camera spraying this poor woman who's on the floor with ice. It's freezing, by the way. It's freezing, and it's ice cold water coming out of this hose, and she's in the outside, you know, like that tanked this guy's business. Not only did it tank his business, thousands of people went to Google and started giving him bad reviews. Thousands. It was so bad that Google was like, couldn't even take any more reviews on it because it was shutting the server down for him.
Oh my goodness.
And
I didn't know that part of it. That's insane.
He went from like 5 stars to negative 10 stars so quick because it's just review after review after review. What kind of monster is this? And then people started going to his business and harassing him, and then people were, you know, it's like that's the good and bad thing about social media. It's got its ups and downs. Some could say there's more ups than downs. Some could say there's more downs than ups. But the point is, use it. You know, use it smart though. No one needs to. If it's about your business, keep it about your business. If you're using it personal, that's up to you. Just remember, most employers these days check it.
Mm-hmm. They look at it when hiring, and even probably after the fact.
Oh, sure. And you know, I think the whole like judging people off of a post they did 10 years ago is absurd. Mm-hmm. Because 10 years ago you're like 14. Mm-hmm. You're gonna
10 years ago,
judge me off of a you know, like if somebody was like, oh, we got a MySpace message from when you were 15. Mm-hmm. It was just like freaking 15 years ago. So you're gonna judge me based on when I was 15? You know what I mean? Like it's ridiculous, but it's just one of those things. Use it wisely. You know, don't overdo it, but you should do it. I think giving people an insight to your services and your day-to-day gives people an opportunity to share you and use you in a positive way, like use you for your services. So that's my take on it. I don't know if you got anything else to add.
No, I'd just say I think it's vital for businesses today to use and just use it smartly, because it really can propel you in any business. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Like I've seen real estate agents that started with nothing. They were really good at social media, and they're running a full-fledged business within a year as a real estate agent, all because they're good at social media. And the guys that aren't doing it are falling behind really quickly because of it. Yeah. So
you're that guy I saw on Instagram. You're that guy I saw on Facebook. It's just what it is, you know. And that's why we're putting so much effort into it now. We're going to be going full force. We have another podcast that's going to be coming out about our take on things going on in the world, and that's exciting. By the way, guys, if you see us in the next podcast in the exact same outfit, we're probably going to be recording two, maybe even the third one today, only because we did the one last week. It fell behind, or it didn't fall behind. It was glitchy, so I took it off, and now we're redoing it, and then we got to do another one.
Yeah, we want to make sure you have a good quality video.
But I think that covers it. And, you know, before we go, we just want to say thank you to our sponsor, USCCA. And if you want to know more information, go ahead and click that link below. Before we intro out here, I'm going to go ahead and play their video, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
It's in our nature to protect the ones we love, to stand up to any danger, to be strong and courageous, to always be prepared, to keep our family safe, to be the first line of defense. We are born to protect.
Thanks for listening to Man in the Middle. If you haven't yet, please consider liking and subscribing to the show. If you can't wait till next episode, follow us on Instagram at MITM Business Consulting and online at mitm.services. There, you can learn more about what we do, how we can help, and the custom services we offer around your personal needs. Until next time, if you'd like to choose the topic we discuss and receive additional services, consider joining our membership program at mitm.services.
Disclaimer. Man in the Middle expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, reliance on, or inability to use this podcast or the information presented in this podcast.
We look forward to you tuning in next time.